I'm curious to know, you've been a longtime member with Chart Champions. What is one thing that Chart Champions has taught you that you use in your trading every day?
When I do something in life, I always want to find like the essence. Like I really try to find like not the magic, but like when you watch like professionals, people who are really mastered their craft, they always have like it's super basic in the end, you know? It gets complicated, but in the end it gets super simple. So this is what I really got out of Chart Champions to really find the essence of a market, and I would break it down. It's just like I remember that very well. That one sentence, like markets range 80% of the time. You know that means you always find a range, right?
Yes.
And you always have a range, and then you try to continue the trend or try to break the range. And this is like the most important thing is to always have the range high, the range low, and then to try how do we react at these extreme areas. And I think that's the essence of a market because it's like the 80-20.
And just like in anything, you can make something very complex, and that's easy.
Yeah.
But to make something extremely simple and
Yeah.
elegant, that's hard, and
Yeah.
especially in trading.
Yeah.
So you shared with me that you recently became a full-time trader.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what has, and I know a lot of our members are having that as a goal.
Yeah.
What has changed for you psychologically now that you've moved into full-time trading?
I think when you're full time, you have to take so much more responsibility for your actions, you know, because if you do it on the sideline, it's like it's full time for me means like it's the main source of income. Let's just it's the focus. So you always have to be much more responsible with your actions. So every trade has to pay, you know, it's not about taking the best entry that looks nice. Maybe you had a little bit of an ego before and you always try to get in at the lowest, but now you have to be very wise with your decisions. And the hardest part is you will have to take responsibility and you will have to face all the, for example, in my case, it was the issue that I had good performance long term, but I overlooked, like, because I was a little bit naive, I guess. I always overlooked that I was quite of a drawdown sometimes, but I was holding it on the side. It was not my main source of income and I could hold that through. But the moment you go full time, now you're in a drawdown, it's totally different. And for me, that's a little bit like that saying like everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. And yeah, full-time trading is like getting punched in the face and then you have to figure it out.
Not only that, you have to pay the bills, you have to pay for the insurance and the car and everything else. So once
Yeah.
you move from part-time to full-time, all of the responsibilities, all of the income shifts, and the psychology changes a lot. I know it did for me. In my first year, I got very lucky in trading. I crushed it. I thought I was, the best trader out there. And in my next year, I ended up having the worst year I've ever had.
Oh,
So it
yeah.
was one of those times where, the market really does humble you. And I certainly got punched in the face multiple times.
It does, yeah.
I'm curious to know, I know routine and, habits are a big part of your trading game.
Yeah.
How do you approach a trading day? What's your routine? And how do you get into a flow state?
Let's say you're traveling and you have like a diet and you have like 90 supplements and you're traveling, you always have to take the 90 supplements. Or you're focusing on getting in a hotel where you get a nice, healthy omelet. And this is how I see it with routine as well. So I always try to be fresh. I try to have a good night sleep before. I think that's the most important thing. I really try to limit my caffeine intake. Like when I wake up, I wait a little bit and I really focus on that. But when it really comes to trading, I think like the flow state for me is like being a little bit flexible. Like it's like you're not taking it too serious. You're like a little bit, you maybe get stopped, it's okay, on to the next one. So you're like a bit, you're not too hard to like, you're not trying to like force the market because you don't try to choke the market and say like, you have to give me a good trade. That's when it backfires. But I think that's for me, the flow state is when I'm like, I take a trade and you accepted the loss before. And then normally it's where you just never even see the drawdown. It just goes super good. And this is just for me, but I believe you should be flexible in a way that I should be able to travel. You should be able, as I said, with like the omelette example, like you have to, don't be so fixed on your routine because if I take away your part of your routine, you fall apart, right?
Yeah, if you're too rigid, eventually you're going to break.
Yes, rigid is the right word. Yeah.
I know you said to me that there was the 80-20 principle, the Pareto
Yes.
principle.
Yeah.
I feel like in trading and in life, you have to embrace that as well. You have to have
Yeah.
80%, healthy, on point, and then 20%, you got to live your life a little bit. Felix
Yeah.
is a competitor. You do the
Yes.
Hyrox challenges.
Yes.
And I know you work out very regularly. Is
Yeah.
that something, do you feel that helps your training? Is being physically fit and also taking out that extra energy through working out?
Yeah, it depends, I think there is like, when I was really struggling in my trading career, like 2, 3 years ago, like the toughest, darkest days, I just always could go to the gym and it was like a reset for me because I struggled so much. And it's when you're struggling in major areas of life, which was trading for me at that time, it's like when you have one area when you can just make a little bit, just a tiny bit of progress, then I think it just always was the reset button. And simply said, I just always could, my brain was just shut down for a while. I was not thinking about it. And I came back. So, but when it comes to competing, I'll be totally transparent. It's a little bit of a gamble because in the beginning it was really like I could prove my character, I can take a challenge. But when you're like trading, for me, it's like full throttle. And when you then work out and you go into competitions, also full throttle. So you have two things where you just, and you always have to balance that out. And this is something that I also like, sometimes you got to focus on one thing and the other, like you only have a limited amount of energy.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm working on getting my energy higher, but
It's hard sometimes in the
It's
world we
hard.
live in, there's
Yeah.
demands coming from every different angle.
Yeah.
So you once said to me, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
How does that show up for you in your trading?
It comes down to like what I said, to try to be like with your routine, to try to be flexible. But I think you can just backtest also, like when you study other people, other great traders, like there's always a correlation between they have a clean environment, they have a clean desk, and they have clean trading. And most of the time people like, there are correlations. You're not going to find a person who's just very unstructured in their relationships and is super structured in their business. And this is for me also comes down to sports. It's just like you're in a race, you run and you don't want to run anymore, but you keep on running if it's tough, It's the same in trading. Close to your loss limit, but you keep on going. That's the point. You keep it. I would say that's how I think like, yeah, everything in life is just proving your character, in my opinion.
With working out and running, you can push your body
Yeah.
up to a certain point and then probably even farther. It's the mental aspect of things
Yeah.
that are tough. A lot of people want to quit. A lot of people want to give up. Do you find yourself leaning into the pain, especially when, let's say you're having a drawdown, particularly? Does that push you to continue going, or are you someone who really likes to pull back when things go wrong?
I mean, that's a good question. I'll be totally transparent. I still wrestle with that. I think in the end, it comes down, like my strength is I do what I love, or I try to find the love in what I do. I would say it like that because if it sucks, if your life is bad, if you're at a drawdown, you have an injury, whatever, your health is, you have whatever, something terrible is happening, you just have to accept it, and you can just find the good in it because you have no choice. And this is how I see it. I'm getting better at it. But if I would honestly break it down, you have no chance ever to compete with people who love what they do if you don't love what you do. If you're in the same field, the person who loves what they do, they will push much further because if I run, I love running, I love being in the competition, I love trading. So if I have a bad moment, I know that this is what I love. But if you don't love what you do, you're at that point and then you're going to think like, I don't want to do this. And then you have a reason to quit.
Yes.
And that's how I see it.
One last question for you, Felix. If you could lay one piece of advice to our members of Chart Champions, what's one thing that you wish you knew when you started trading that you could tell yourself back then?
I think I would go more general here. Again, as you say, how you do one thing is how you do everything. It's just like, you can't rush the process and you can't cheat yourself up. You cannot like skip the lessons. I mean, you can skip the lessons, but there will going to be the day X where it matters. And then you don't have the data, you don't have the lesson. And then it will backfire. So it goes quick when you take it slow.
What is your favorite thing you're looking forward to here in Porto?
I'm honestly just looking forward to meet all the members who are here and also the new faces. And I'm just like, I think what matters in life is showing up, When you show up to such an event, you just say that you take it serious, If you take trading serious and you can't show up, it's going to be harder, you know. But when you show up, you connect with others. It's a super lonely industry. We're playing a super lonely game. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to connect, I'll be honest, and to just enjoy it, honestly. We also have a lot to celebrate.
Yes.
So yeah.
Me too. And we have a meetup once a year. I know you've been in the past meetups. So really excited to have you here this week. And thank you so very much for your interview.
Thank you,
I
Scott.
appreciate you, man.